You are now tuned into a brand new episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K. Sapp. Well, the highly anticipated matchup between Cam Ward, the number one pick NFL draft in 2025, against the Cleveland Browns in a fifth round draft choice at 144 in Shedeur Sanders is going to be must see TV. And Cam Ward has some interesting things to say about Shedeur Sanders. But we'll talk about all that here next, right after this. Well, guys, Cam Ward of the Tennessee Titans, the number one draft pick in this year's 2025 NFL draft, is turning heads on what he said about Shedeur Sanders leading up to the highly anticipated matchup this weekend between the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns. Now, we all know, and it's well documented by well-off media, shout out to them, about the growing process and the maturation between Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. We saw countless videos of them working out together, preparing, for the NFL draft, getting some work in with each other, actually clowning each other, being very competitive. And we heard what Shedeur Sanders had to say in his media day availability yesterday when they asked him questions surrounding around Cam Ward. And Shedeur Sanders came out bluntly and said, nah, we don't contact each other, during this football season. We're both focused on trying to be great. And Cam Ward basically uttered them same words in his press conference, but he took it a little further. It's some shocking remarks that he said about Shedeur Sanders. Also, he said some shocking remarks about the Cleveland Browns organization, leading up to the draft process, on them guys inviting Cam Ward in, and he said some things about the ownership and the head coach that you might not want to believe, but he did give high praise. Now, we did hear what Kevin Stefanski had to say when he was talking about Cam Ward. He was very excited about Cam Ward. Basically, he was giving more input about Cam Ward than he does about his current quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. He was very excited when they was asking him questions about Cam Ward, and basically people read between the lines almost saying that Kevin Stefanski probably wanted Cam Ward over Shedeur Sanders. But Cam Ward took to the podium yesterday to address the highly anticipated matchup in the relationship that he has with Shedeur Sanders. But before we get off into that, we partnered up with Underdog Fantasy, and this is our word from our sponsor. Underdog Fantasy is the best way to play fantasy sports. Let me tell you about the easiest way to get in on some WNBA and NBA action. Find your player, pick higher or lower, win you some extra cash. Pick between 2 to 5 players to fill out your pick'em entry, get every pick right, and win some serious cash. Use my promo code SBD23 and receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Now that it's football time, follow Simply Ball Dropping as I share my picks. Like I said, pick your player, choose your amount, win money. Make picks, win cash. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for the partnership with us, and thank you for using promo code SBD23 on Underdog Fantasy. Well, guys, with that being said, let's take a listen to what Cam Ward had to say with some of his shocking comments and remarks about Shedeur and also the Cleveland Browns organization. Let's take a listen.
You guys text, keep in touch this week?
No, we don't text, really. Like during the season like that, it's more of an off season. Just because, the life we live, we're both busy. We both got a playbook, to constantly be in. But I'm always here.
What have you seen from the guy you'll actually go against, Mount Garrett, and how fearsome is he in terms of rushing pass?
Really good. Probably the best player that there is at that position. And he's proved that game in and game out. So we got to do our job of not letting him affect the game. Just each and every play. Try to keep a lid on it, and just got to continue to execute our plays. Just try to execute up and down the field.
Cam, knowing you and Shedeur, I was not on the field at the same time, but in the same building, does that add any extra juice, given how much you guys used to always compete every day?
Nah, I got to go against the Cleveland defense, so it's not really into that perspective. It's more of what can I do for my team to help us accomplish our goal in winning the game.
I asked Colbert what the most competitive moment was with you guys, and he had said that before that game, you just stopped calling Shedeur. You say you weren't going to talk. From your perspective, would you say that's the most competitive moment, or what would you say it was?
I say anytime both of us are in the room, we're always competitive. Throughout college, even in the pre-draft process, we just both want to be great players, and I just think it's going to be exciting for just a lot of people to see what both of us will be able to do when we play at a high level.
What are your memories of interacting with Cleveland in the draft process, and how close did you feel like you were coming to being a Brown during that process?
I had great meetings with those guys, from ownership all the way to the head coach and the GM. They showed me nothing but love. And they got a great building. The people that I met there, and it was an honor to, have them, be able to pick me if it would have went out that way. So I'm excited that I'm here. I'm excited that I'm a tight end. And I think everything worked out for a reason.
That first interaction that you and Shedeur had, if you could think back to that, what were the first things you thought of him when you guys started training together?
I think that both of us would just be, great quarterbacks when it's all said and done. I just think both of us, have the ability to learn different offenses, different just aspects of the football, how you have to see the game. And I just think, just the things that we can do inside the building to help bring people together, I just think that's the best things about both of us.
And given how so many people would always say you didn't belong, they would say Shedeur didn't belong, did you guys bond over that during the whole process leading up to the draft?
Yeah, for sure. And there's going to be haters, whether you play good, whether you play bad. We both know that. But at the end of the day, it's really about, what we have to do individually and what we have to do for the building, to help put everyone in the best situation.
It's going to be really cold and windy up there. What's the coldest, windiest game you've ever played in before?
Probably about 5 degrees.
Where was that at?
Washington State.
How'd you do?
Pretty good. You get a little bit more grip on the ball in the cold. So it's gonna be exciting to get back in my element and just try to play football and help lead my guys.
You guys heard what Cam Ward had to say, man. He said some interesting comments about the Cleveland Browns organization as a whole. And the crazy thing about it is he even addressed the haters, because a lot of people said that Shedeur and Cam Ward didn't belong, but both of them belong. And me personally, I thought that Shedeur Sanders would have been the #1 overall pick. But Cleveland, picked Shedeur in the 5th round, and Tennessee had the #1 pick and they took Cam Ward. But, throughout the season, Cam Ward has struggled mightily. And Cam Ward on the season thrown for 2,351 yards. He only has 7 touchdowns, got 6 interceptions, and a QBR of 31.8. And the Tennessee Titans are 1-11. And he has struggled. I mean, Cam Ward can make all the throws. Some throws that Cam has been throwing this year, he's been overthrowing his receivers. Sometimes I've watched games where I'm like, Dad, Cam, where are you throwing the ball at? He said had some ill-advised picks. And, to have 12 games in and only got 7 touchdowns and got 6 picks, a lot of people have ridiculed Cam. And that's why a lot of people has been on this notion is that Shedeur Sanders could have been the overall #1 pick. But Cam Ward spoke highly of Shedeur and their relationship. Both of them basically say the same thing. They don't text each other during the season. They're trying to be great. They got things to focus on. They got a playbook to be in. They also addressed the haters. He said it's going to be outside noise, but you got to block that out, because him and Shedeur Sanders are striving to be great. And I believe that both of these young men will be great in their profession and at their position as the quarterback. But the things that he said about the Cleveland Browns organization, about the ownership and the head coach, that's putting it on a different perspective. But a lot of people want to try to put Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders against each other, but these guys are standing 10 toes down. Basically, they gave the same answers, highly respect each other. Their friendship is solid, and they got each other's back, just like Cam Ward said. Shedeur knows I'm here for him. So it's going to be a highly anticipated game in Huntington Bank Field in Cleveland on Sunday. So it's going to be exciting to see two black quarterbacks going head to head. Somebody got to lose, but it's the highly respect that they have for each other. So the remarks that Cam Ward said about Shedeur Sanders, you got to give him kudos to that, because these guys are true friends, and they're going to keep it that way. And, some of these reporters, I know they got to ask the tough questions, but some of these reporters would try to dig to try to see if there is some kind of loophole where they can get a story that, he said this about Shedeur, he don't really mess with Shedeur and things like that. That's what they do. But that's what the media does, and that's what the reporters does. They got to get a story. They're beat writers, but kudos to Cam for handling the situation the way he handled it and giving the respect to Shedeur Sanders. I see everybody in the comments section, #salute. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh, yeah, just in case I forgot. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Might not be for you, but it might be for them. And this will wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. Guess what? Catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.